In this video, I will be comparing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, which are parts that make up the autonomic nervous system. To begin with, the sympathetic nervous system is often called the fight or flight reaction that responds to stress that is affecting us at the moment in our environment. This is our body's way of survival and preservation. The parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite. This is our rest and digest. We take it easy doing what we do naturally every day during our lives. Looking at the two, the parasympathetic is what our body is doing at any given time until something happens to trigger the sympathetic system response. Then, once the danger or the stressful situation is gone and over, the parasympathetic system kicks back in and it's back to normal work as usual. So the sympathetic nervous system comes out of mainly the thoracic spinal area and the lumbar spinal area. This, again, is the fight or flight natural instinct for survival. The preganglionic neurons are made of collagenous fibers and they release acetylcholine right here in the ganglia, which meet the postganglionic neurons, which are actually made out of adrenergic fibers. These adrenergic fibers release norepinephrine, and the norepinephrine acts with the alpha and beta receptors in the organs. Some of the signs of the sympathetic system, first off, is increased sweating, because when you're running, if you're running away from something, you're going to have the increased sweating. Your eyes, they're going to be dilated so that you can see more, see better. The salivary glands, they're going to decrease in saliva production because you're not trying to eat anything at the moment. And your heart, you have tachycardia, which is a raise in your blood pressure and heart rate, getting more blood pumping through your body. And with the lungs, you have bronchodilation, opening up your airways more for more air intake. Your liver is going to produce more blood sugar so that you have more extra energy to get away. Your intestines are going to slow down in digestion. And your bladder, your uterus, those are going to be relaxing so that hopefully you don't urinate on yourself, and you're not using your uterus at the moment, so they can relax. Moving over to the parasympathetic side, this again was your rest and digest. This is normal everyday business. So your preganglionic, pause it. So since the sympathetic system can only do so much for a period of time, there needs to be another preganglionic neuron made, and it's made of collagenous fiber also. So it's same as these up here, that produces the acetylcholine, and it doesn't go through a ganglia. So these up here went through a ganglia. This one does not go through a ganglia. It goes directly to the kidneys area, and specifically the adrenal glands, into the adrenal medulla. And the adrenal medulla then releases epinephrine and norepinephrine, which commonly people know of as adrenaline. So it gives that a longer amount of time to run if you're running away from something or for survival. Moving along over to the parasympathetic nervous system. This system, again, it helps us to relax and digest our food, go about daily business, reproduction, and those things. Here we have the, let me backstep, I'm sorry. The reason we have these two separate systems is because the sympathetic system, it can't run 24/7 in our bodies because it would end up, our heart and body would run out of energy and it would give out. So we have to have the parasympathetic system to pick up and put our bodies back to the resting state from this fight or flight state of our body. So the parasympathetic system, it also has the preganglionic neurons, and they are also made of the cholinergic fibers, just like over here on the sympathetic, and they also release the acetylcholine. The top three, the 3, 7, and 9 cranial nerves, they are the primary ones in the parasympathetic system, and they meet at a ganglion, and then we have the postganglion neurons. Now, something to look at between the difference of these two, the sympathetic, notice that the preganglionic neurons are shorter, and on the parasympathetic side, the preganglionics are longer. And the reason they're longer on the parasympathetic side is because most of the ganglias are closer to, in location, the organs, or they're attached at some place. So again, moving on, the postganglionics are shorter, where the preganglionics are longer on the parasympathetic, and on the sympathetic side, the preganglionics are shorter and the postganglionics are longer. Moving back over to the parasympathetic, the vagus nerve is also a preganglionic nerve. It's a cholinergic fiber, and it also releases the acetylcholine, but it's at a terminal ganglia, meaning that it's terminating very, very close, if not touching the heart, lungs, digestive system, the plexus of those organs. Moving down to the sacral part of the parasympathetic nervous system that come out is also a cholinergic fiber. It releases the acetylcholine and into the wall of the organ in the pelvic ganglia. And again, it's these ganglia are close to these organs. So then I'm going to go over the differences, comparing what's going on. So I talked already about what happens in the parasympathetic side with the increased sweating. You have the pupil dilation, the salivary glands are decreasing the saliva put out, you have tachycardia, bronchodilation, your liver is increasing the blood sugar, you slow down your intestine, the intestine is slowing down the digestion, and you're relaxing your body so you're not going to the restroom at the moment. Moving back over to the parasympathetic, in the eyes, where we had pupil dilation in the sympathetic, in this parasympathetic, we have pupil constriction. So it goes back down. You don't need to worry about seeing a whole bunch compared to over in the sympathetic. You have your salivary glands. They are starting to increase salivary production so that you can begin to swallow, and you're either drinking or eating your food and it's able to go down into the digestive system. Your heart, it's going to lower your blood pressure and your heart rate compared to over where the sympathetic, they were elevated. Your lungs over in the parasympathetic, you're going to have bronchoconstriction, meaning that the airways are going to go back to the normal size. You can go back to breathing normally. You're not trying to get extra air into your lungs. Your digestive system, it's going to turn back on. You're going to increase your food absorption. So because you're going to be eating and trying to digest your food. And then your bladder and your colon, the rectum, and all genitalia, it's going to go back to normal. You're going to be able to constrict it so you can use the restroom and whatnot. So there were several differences, mainly in how the body reacts in each system, and the biggest thing is that we can't have one without the other. The sympathetic keeps us alive in the moments of stress and fright, and the parasympathetic keeps us going day-to-day business. And yeah, that's it.